What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your second stimulus check update, and it looks like we're going to have an agreement between Nancy Pelosi and Mitch McConnell, possibly as early as today or tomorrow, and we could actually see the stimulus package passing here within the next couple days. I'm going to give you all the latest details of that right now in this video and what to expect out of the stimulus package with the rent assistance, the unemployment money, stimulus checks. We're going to go over all the details of it in this video and when we should expect to get this money. But first, don't forget to give this video a like down below. And if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. We're going to have really big news coming out over the next several days. Our new videos come out at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. When they pass this package, there's going to be rent assistance in there, possibly student loan forgiveness, and all sorts of money for food, all sorts of different buckets of money. After they pass this, I will walk you through how to claim that money. Okay, first, let's talk to Senator Josh Hawley regarding the $1,200 stimulus checks. And then we're going to see what President Donald Trump thinks about stimulus checks being included in this bill and if he might veto the bill without the stimulus checks. First, Senator Josh Hawley, who is the co-author with Bernie Sanders for the next stimulus check to be included in this package or on a standalone bill.
Point. I want to talk to you about this stimulus bill because it looks like they're getting somewhere. Just give us your update on where this stands right now.
Well, listen, the most important thing that Congress can do is give working people, working families relief before Christmas. And that's why we ought to vote in the Senate on a bill that will give $1,200 to every individual, $2,400 to couples, working families, $500 to kids who need it. This is what we did back in March. Every senator voted for it. This ought to be the centerpiece of any relief effort. People are desperate, Martha. Working people are desperate for help. We're not talking about wealthy people. We're talking about working people. They ought to be the center of this bill, not an afterthought. And that's why I've introduced legislation to get it done.
Yeah, this is what's so crazy when you look at the numbers on the deals that were considered months ago. And Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, said, nope, that's not enough. Listen to what she said. This is back in August 11th. She said this. Watch.
Last week, they came up with some meager proposals, and the president then over the weekend did even less to give an illusion so that the market would go up and people would think we're not paying attention, that he might be doing something. But let me just say this. We have children who are food insecure in our country.
So we have children who are food insecure, and that's absolutely true. You have people going to food banks who have never been to a food bank in their life and never expected to be at one. But let's put up this graphic. Matt Taibbi wrote about this today. Let's put up this graphic that shows this is the state and local aid that Nancy Pelosi said she could not do without, that she needed to have as part of any deal. Back in September, they were at $436 billion. Then in October, it shrunk to $300 billion. And the deal that they finally, came to the table on and said, OK, now it's time to help America's working people is down to $160 billion in state and local aid.
Yeah, so let me just jump in right here right now. Again, this is Nancy Pelosi. She's been taking so much criticism, much more than Mitch McConnell has recently. Again, back in September, she was demanding $436 billion for state and local governments. Then $300 billion before the election. That's when President Donald Trump and the White House team, Steve Mnuchin, offered her $1.8 to $1.9 trillion. And she said that that wasn't enough, that they couldn't come to an agreement there. And now after the election, she's had several different times where she basically said, well, that's okay now because we have a different president. And that was her decision to do that. And now it's okay because Joe Biden's president. Now she's looking at accepting $160 billion. But here's the real kicker. This $160 billion might actually be zero because they've now separated the bill into two bills, $748 billion, and then a separate bill that is $160 billion for state and cities and the liability protections. They might not even pass that side bill. Nancy Pelosi might actually get $0 for states and cities in this bill, and she might approve it, which is kind of what I'm expecting to happen here within the next 24 to 48 hours. So Nancy Pelosi, who demanded $300 billion before the election and says that she couldn't take any less money for states and cities, is now possibly going to agree to a deal with $0 for states and cities because, well, what she says is Joe Biden is now president, and now her biggest priority seems to be not a priority really anymore. Now, as sad as that is, I do want to say that money for states and cities is actually a good thing because, for one, I mean, there's so many different things that it goes to spend on. There's millions of people that work for states and cities that are getting laid off and they're losing their jobs because there's not enough money to go around. In addition to like all those things that the states will actually like use the money for, is a lot of, well, I should say almost all of the money that's going for rent assistance and stimulus checks on the state and local city level comes from those buckets of money that were passed by the previous stimulus package. So if they replenish it, all these people in states that are getting $5,000 rent assistance, $1,000 checks, 3 months of their rent paid. Some states are paying 6 months of their rent. Some cities, if they replenish that money for more states and cities, state and city stimulus money, either in this package or the side package or the package that's going to come in January, that is a good thing because that money does come back around to the people in different forms, including the rent assistance and stimulus checks on the state and local city level.
Yeah, well, it's because the Democrat leadership has been a lot more interested in bailing out big government than they have in actually helping workers. And they wanted hundreds of billions for big government instead of helping working people. And that's why I say what we ought to be focused on, and what I'm focused on, is helping working families. No bailouts to big government, no bailouts to big corporations for that matter. They need this corporate welfare. What we need is help to working people. And by the way, Martha, let's just remember, the reason that working folks are in trouble is because the government shut down their businesses and shut down their jobs back in March and April and May and June, and still in some of these other states. That's why folks are hurting. They need the help. Let's give the help directly to people that need it. No government intermediary. Write a check to the people who need the help.
Well, Mitch McConnell has said it's going to happen before any break for the holidays, and I know you've been working with Bernie Sanders on it. Not something that the two of you normally do, but it's good to see people pull together because obviously this is should be a bipartisan situation. There is a lot of need out there. Senator, thank you. Good to see you tonight.
Thank you.
Yeah, so just to touch on a couple things they mentioned there. I've mentioned this in my last couple videos, but in case you didn't see it, number one is Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says they will not leave until they get a stimulus package passed. Okay, that's really good news. Mitch McConnell doesn't really say that. Nancy Pelosi tries to say that, but then they go on vacation. Mitch McConnell does not say that, I don't think, unless he actually means it. I think they're going to get a deal done here within the next 3 to 7 days here. I think we could have the agreement as early as today or tomorrow. The next thing is that we're seeing a lot of pushback from both Republicans and Democrats that if they don't have a stimulus check in this bill, or they don't pass the standalone stimulus bill, that's this bill you see on the screen. There's two versions of it. There's the amendment that they can add on to any of these stimulus packages that they're talking about, the $748 billion one, or this smaller $160 billion for states and cities and liability protection. They can add this on as an amendment, or they can do a standalone bill for the $1,200. We're seeing so much pushback. Bernie Sanders says he's gathering senators. We had Representative Oman, who I played that clip for you guys yesterday, who said that she has 60 different people in Congress, senators and representatives from the House, that will not pass a bill if there's not a $1,200 stimulus check in there. This is becoming a very real thing. Now, in addition to that, President Donald Trump has been an advocate for this second stimulus check here in the last few days. And some people are actually calling on President Donald Trump to veto the bill if they pass it in the House and Senate, to veto it and then send it back to Congress to add on a stimulus check. I don't know if that's going to happen, but let me show you what White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany was just asked about that scenario if President Donald Trump will veto this stimulus package if they don't include a stimulus check in there.
Negotiations. So there's this meeting this afternoon, the big four up on the Hill. We're told, by the way, that Secretary Mnuchin will be there. If the big four, if the Treasury Secretary are able to come to some sort of a deal, would President Trump sign off on it, or does he have specific asks specific red lines that have to be in any sort of deal?
I think we'll wait to see what that deal looks like. He's said that he would really like to see those stimulus checks in there, but his priority at the end of the day is getting relief to the American people. We're hopeful there will be some sort of agreement, but I would note that we've been the party that's been flexible. We've been the party that's said, hey, standalone PPP, that's funding for small businesses and funding for businesses generally to go to pay their employees. We've had a standalone bill that we supported there. We had a standalone unemployment insurance bill. So we've been the party that's been flexible in this.
Clear, if there is a deal that doesn't have direct payments, the president would support it or not?
I'm not going to say if that's a red line or not. I won't get ahead of the negotiations, but I'll just say that we are hopeful there is a deal there that the president can then look at and support.
So yeah, you heard it. It's a possibility that Trump could veto this bill. I personally don't think he will. I mean, we actually had yesterday in another conference with Mitch McConnell saying, let me show you this part actually again.
And as I've said repeatedly, number one, we're not leaving here without a COVID package. It's not going to happen. We're going to stay here until we get a COVID package. No matter how long it takes. We'll be here until we get a COVID package. Number two, the way forward, obviously, is to put aside the two things that are the most contentious on each side: liability protection and state and local. We all know the new administration is going to be asking for another package. We can live to fight another day on what we disagree on, but we ought to agree to go forward on what we can agree on.
Yeah, very important clip there from Mitch McConnell. One, he says they're not leaving until they get a deal and pass a deal. And number two, he knows that the Biden administration is making it basically their top priority to pass more stimulus in January and February. So he knows there's more to come. So it's almost like, yeah, they're going to pass this bill here for anywhere from $750 to $1 trillion, somewhere in that range. And then there's going to be more coming in January and February. And I mentioned this in one of my past videos, but in case you didn't see it, the new administration, when a new White House administration comes in, they make it a priority to get their top agendas done no matter what. And the biggest example, the best example there, most recent, is the Trump border wall. When President Donald Trump came into office in 2016, one of his biggest things was the border wall. He wanted to build it, and Democrats hated the idea. They were like, no way, we're never giving you money for that. Well, guess what? They gave him money for it because basically the Republicans demanded it. They basically threatened that they weren't going to pass any other bills for the Democrats, and they made it happen. They made for sure that it had to be in these packages or in different bills that they were passing. They were attaching it on to different bills, and they said that they were going to veto anything else unless they passed money for the border wall. That is probably what we will expect from Joe Biden, although because he has such a good working relationship with Mitch McConnell already acknowledges it. You literally heard him say right there, we know that we're going to have to pass more stimulus next month, January and February. Biden says multiple stimulus packages are coming after this. It seems like Mitch McConnell is already preparing for this. He knows that they're going to have to pass more stimulus packages because the Biden administration is making it their top priority. And again, whenever you see a new White House come in, whatever their top priorities are at the beginning of their term, they always find a way to pass it. And you can look back through history and see that the vast majority of times that's what happened. So Mitch McConnell's already kind of saying, yeah, I know we need to pass more starting next month. And Mitch McConnell actually came out yesterday and said that he actually accepts Joe Biden now as the president-elect, now that the Electoral College has actually voted for him officially. So Mitch McConnell and Joe Biden have a very good working relationship. So I don't think that Joe Biden's going to have to threaten him, kind of how Trump had to do it to the Democrats to get that border wall funding. But there definitely will be more stimulus packages coming as early as next month. The real question is going to be, what happens with this one? What's going to be in this package? Is there going to be stimulus checks? Are they going to have that as a standalone bill, an add-on? Is the president going to possibly veto it if they don't have the stimulus checks? Or are they just going to pass the package with what's in there now, which is the $300 per week for unemployed Americans, which is $1,200 per month? We have money for mortgage and rental assistance in there, money for food, all sorts of different buckets of money that different buckets of people will be able to claim. And again, I will walk you through when they pass this package how to claim those different buckets of money, of course, and then when the next stimulus package comes next month. Also, let me bring you another state and city that is passing rent relief, mortgage relief right now. Des Moines City, Iowa Council approves $500,000 for rent and mortgage relief. This is where that money for state and local, this is what they're doing with it. All states and cities all across the country are basically giving rental assistance to their residents. This is actually the second 500,000. In May, they did 600,000. They're adding another 500,000 to it. And it said the city of Des Moines anticipates some of the $500,000 to be reimbursed by the federal government, though it is unclear when a federal stimulus package will be approved. So they've actually already approved this additional $500,000 for rent assistance in Des Moines, Iowa, and they hope that they get more because, quote, the federal dollars are critical to help us get through this. So that money for states and cities, and there's actually direct rental assistance in that stimulus bill of $26 billion that doesn't go to states and cities. It's literally just for rental assistance. We don't know the details of it until they pass it, how to claim it, all that stuff. I will be helping you guys with that when they pass this bill and what actually comes out in this bill. So make sure you're subscribed. New videos come out at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure to share this video with your family and friends so that they can claim these different stimulus packages and rent assistance and all these different kind of buckets of money that are coming through all these different packages. I will keep you guys updated as soon as new information comes out. You can click this top video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video teaches you how to start your own business selling products on Amazon FBA. I have dozens of students that have replaced their 9-to-5 income by selling products on Amazon, and I teach them how to do that. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.